What's going on, everyone? You're listening to a special edition of the Brazos Sports Prepcast. I'm Alex Spiller with Eagle, joined by Jake Weiss, the Eagles high school sports reporter. We're at AT&T Stadium covering the UIL state championships in football. College Station lost to Aledo today. This is Saturday we're recording. A couple days after Franklin walked off against Brock in a pretty epic battle. So just wanted to take a few minutes to recap some action here at State and just kind of look back at these two kind of different games and what went down. So Jake, let's start with College Station because that's what's fresh on our minds. Certainly did not go the way College Station hoped it would, and it got out of hand pretty quickly for the Cougars.
Yeah, I think there was a couple times in there where we kind of thought, well, they're down 14. All right, well, they've been here before. We kind of thought, but if they score here, they're right back in the mix. Then, it became 21. Then it just kept going and going, and then, it just got to a point where you're thinking, okay, well, unfortunately at this point, I think this lead is just too insurmountable for them to even come back. They haven't done this at all at any point this season, so that was just kind of, unfortunate for them. I know it wasn't the way they wanted the season to end, but, I kind of talked about this with you a little bit later, but, really those last 2 minutes, I thought, though, really, they credit to them, they kept fighting, they were inspired, and that's how they got those, 14 points, so credit to them, they didn't give up, but, yeah, it's just kind of how I felt Saturday went.
Yeah, Aledo is a team, Coach Stoney Pryor said it after the game, they're a team that you can't dig a hole and expect to come back on a hole like that, and Aledo got up 52-0 early in the fourth quarter, and Haas Haney was just so good, and the Cougars knew going into this game that they were going to have to stop him, and unfortunately they just couldn't, whether it was via the pass or the run, and he certainly got some help from Jalen Pope, who set a state record with like 228 receiving yards today.
Yeah, no, and he was real impressive. I mean, their just whole team, was impressive from offense to defense. I mean, I know they gave up those 14 points, but still, I thought just for Aledo, it was a team effort, and I thought it was funny too. You mentioned what Coach Pryor said. I thought kind of what Zach Dang echoed was kind of funny as well. He was talking about, hey, we still got here. It's a great accomplishment, and it is. But he also was like, hey, this is something you don't do every season, unless you're Aledo. So that kind of just proves, where Aledo is right now and where they've been the last, 10 plus years.
Yeah, I mean, Aledo's a perennial power. This is kind of the bar, and I was there in their post-game press conference, and their guys said, hey, we got to work for it just like every other team before us that have come, and I mean, they certainly worked for that win today. It was a holistic effort for them. Not only did they do well on offense, they did well on special teams. The Cougars had some chances. They drove down the field and turned the ball over a couple times when it looked like, okay, they might have a little bit of life on offense, and even on special teams early in the game. I mean, Aledo from the onset, they had the long kick return into College Station territory, and then a couple drives later, they had the long punt return, got them down to 15. I mean, when you're starting at like point blank range, it's just hard for your defense to get into a groove, and when the offense isn't executing as well. And Coach Pryor said that schematically stuff was there. It just seemed like it was one of those games where you just really got to tip your cap to the opponent and just recognize, like, hey, we just got beat by a really good team.
Yeah, no, I think 100%. And I don't know about you, but I think that just kind of sums up the story of the day. I mean, they just kind of tipped their cap. Great season for College Station, won 13 games, shared the district title, overcame a lot. That was something else they all talked about in the post-game presser. I mean, you lose Marquise before the season even begins. I mean, it's in a scrimmage, scrimmage. You lose him, but they rallied to win 13 games, win the district, beat A&M Consolidated, you beat your rival in your first rivalry game in a couple seasons. So a lot to be proud of. But like you said, just tip the cap and move on. This is going to sting for a bit, but they got a lot to be proud of.
Without a doubt. Sure, we're going to be talking more about College Station here in the next couple weeks as we recap the rest of the season and do a little postseason superlatives and get into our all Brazos Valley team. So, on the other hand, Franklin and Brock, I mean, if you're playing NCAA football, the video game, the game ends and it just pops up instant classic, like #1, right? I mean, what a barn burner, banger, just slugfest of a game. Franklin comes out on top 17-14, second straight state championship, 32nd win in a row. I mean, the Lions, Jake, we talk about College Station kind of having a roller coaster season. Franklin's resolve, especially in the playoffs, really, I think, helped them just not be fazed by the ebbs and flows of that kind of wacky game, and be able to go down and win the game on that last second field goal.
Yeah, and something that you asked about in the post-game presser that really kind of struck me, because I had kind of forgotten about it, was especially on the game-winning field goal. I forgot, and I'm sure some other people might have forgotten as well. But Court Lowry missed a field goal in the beginning of the game, but he came back out there, ice in his veins, kicked the game winner, and was cool as a cucumber. I mean, in the post-game interview, he even talked about, hey, this is something we practice all the time at practice. Like, he kind of downplayed it. No big deal, really. I mean, that was something that I was just real impressed by and real struck by, especially when you asked, hey, how'd you feel after missing the first one, going back out there? I was like, man, I forgot that. He was so cool about it.
The star of the show, though, without a question, was Jaden Jackson. I mean, 146 yards on the ground, scored the only touchdown for the offensive touchdown for the Lions, and that his emergence this season as kind of the right-hand man to Bryson Washington, and in some aspects kind of surpassing Bryson at times as the guy. I mean, that was so critical for Franklin to finish off this run. Of course, as I'm wearing this Franklin green.
Just Jaden, man, I mean, I talked about this on Thursday night in my column, and you and me have talked about this throughout the year. I mean, just Franklin's kind of setting themselves up for some future success. I mean, Court Lowry, junior, Jaden, just a sophomore. Just the whole team, they're going to lose some guys, of course. Bryson, obviously, is very talented.
You do every year. But they did last year, and they moved up a division, and here they are repeating as champions.
But you got to be excited if you're Coach Fannin and the rest of the coaching staff, because you get a guy like Jaden who had 158 yards, the only offensive touchdown in the state championship game, and you get him for 2 more years.
Yeah, just kind of looking here. Colby Smith, he led the team with 11.5 tackles. Jackson, third in the game, he had 4.5. Braden Urey, he had 3.5. He had a tackle for loss. Colby Smith was the MVP in last year's state title game too, and those are 3 guys that they're coming back next year. Going to be a core to that team. Smith and Urey, they're going to be seniors. Jackson going to be the junior. He's going to probably step into that number 1 back role. Yeah. There's a good line of succession coming through Franklin right now, and I'm sure Coach Fannin's okay with that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know he said there's no special sauce, but
they got something over there.
Yeah, maybe something in the water. Maybe not a special sauce, but.
What are you cooking over there, Coach Fannin? You a hidden chef over there? Need to go over to his house. Maybe he's cooking some barbecue or something.
But, I bet he would. Maybe to celebrate.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
But Jake, without a doubt, pretty good season for the Brazos Valley, and we'll get into it more. But just looking at the attendance figures, I mean, almost 14,000 people at the Franklin game, over 28,000 people today at College Station Aledo. I mean, it's pretty neat when you have a town like Franklin that's got just over 1,000 people in it, and then a team like College Station we cover very closely throughout the season as one of our locals. I mean, that's over 40,000 people that got to watch Brazos Valley football this week.
Yeah, and I'm surprised you didn't even mention, one of my personal highlights of the trip was the Franklin sign we saw on the way. They got fans all over, 50 miles to...
outside of Grandview off I-35. Yeah. That was kind of a funny little touch.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know you took a picture of that and posted it on social media, but yeah, like I said, you talk about the attendance, I mean, heck, we don't even know. I mean, I kind of like to know, hey, did that person who made the sign, did they go to the game? But, even if they didn't, it shows, Franklin kind of has fans. There's pockets of fans kind of all over.
Well, thanks for tuning into this special episode of the Brazos Sports Preps Cast. Short and sweet. We got some